Hello everybody, and let's start off with the question. How was that fan fest? I mean, obviously it's still going on for all the people out in Berlin, but for the rest of us, it's just sitting at home. The keynote is still the most important thing. Now, personally, if you ask me, I was a little disappointed. Usually the NA fan fest is the dud because they can't really talk about anything yet, but it felt like they didn't really reveal much new stuff in Berlin. That being said, there was definitely some exciting things to go over, so let's get into it. We're going to go through everything that was discussed and give my opinions on it if I have any. Starting, of course, with the extended teaser trailer. If you want to watch this without my commentary over it, I highly suggest you go and seek it out for yourself. I'll leave the link to the English trailer in the description. Now, of course, we've seen all this last time.
One more time? It's my favorite story.
Oh, you know it better than me by now. But if you insist.
Yes! Alright, I'm ready. Tell me about the Promised Land.
Long, long ago. In a time few yet.
I'm wondering if we're going to be doing any kind of, like, time travel stuff, and you'll see why.
Was rich in plenty.
Because the way that she's telling the story is as if these things have already happened. But we're involved in this story.
Towering peaks sprang rivers, flowing into and feeding great seas. And noble kingdoms flourished, wanting for naught.
Of course, we have all of us just being complete badasses.
But then came the relentless ice.
They still have not shown us any ice zones.
Cold and still.
I'm assuming that's going to end up being like the secret final zone.
And as we struggled to survive, they marched, and all was lost. We had no choice but to flee to the skies.
Now, this part is new, and I'm going to pause it here because it's... I have a theory about this. My immediate first thought here was, that's the new Ranged DPS. And, you know, that would be kind of obvious, of course. They have done that in the past, I believe. If I remember, Dancer was also teased in a similar way, where they just kind of showed it in passing. But anyway. She has a bird. I first thought it was some kind of dragon, but that's beside the point. She has a bird. We're going to be a falconer. Something like that, at least. And then, that idea was taken further during the dev panel. Soken showed us this. Right before getting removed from the stage.
Okay, play the first sound.
Now, that to me sounds like some kind of magic effect, which, you know, you're thinking, why would a ranged DPS be making a magic sound? But that girl had a wand. But that wasn't really convincing on its own, obviously. But listen to this.
誰かいるかいわかる人
Anyone know that one?
すげえな誰もいないね
Doesn't look like anyone knows that one.
オッケーオッケーじゃあもう一個行ってみよう、
Okay.
もう一個の方どうぞ
The second one.
誰かいる
Anyone? Anyone?
That was clearly a bird. Clearly like some kind of falcon screech. Come on, we've got to be. It's got to be that, right? I think we're going to be a falconer. I think that's our ranged DPS, which makes a lot of sense. We're probably going to be commanding it around with that wand. Maybe some other magical effects. I don't know. We'll find out. That's just my prediction, though. And then, of course, they ended this segment with this.
新ジョブ DPS の SE ですから。
No, 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 wait, Soken. What are you doing?
these are sound effects from the new DPS job we're going to announce at the JP Fanfest.
絶対ダメ
It's absolute no-go.
ダメだ
No.
Release me! Unhand me!
You know, obviously it's all part of the show, but they're a lot of fun. Yeah, that I don't know what else to say. That it's got to be that, right? Anyway, let's get back to the trailer. And of course, we get our first look here at the new double shield class, looking absolutely fantastic with these animations. Of course, this is a cinematic trailer, so everything's gonna look great. But while it probably will not end up being my main, I can't deny that it does look really cool, and it's gonna be hilarious watching Lalafels run around with those double shields. Warrior of Light making our grand entrance. I don't even know what to expect from that.
Then what happened?
The land below became a frozen waste. But everything changed when they arrived.
The traveler. The one from the sky.
Aye, though in those days we knew them as far wanderer.
So, my main question from that trailer, my main question right now from that trailer, and of course we're going to be getting it in January, which is fantastic, is the person telling the story, who some people are predicting is the same girl with the bird that we saw. Is that just kind of cinematic flair for the trailer? Or is there going to be some kind of time travel stuff going on? We don't know yet. We'll just have to wait and see. Then, after that amazing extended trailer, we get to see Yoshi-P himself walking out in this awesome new armor for the new tank class. They then go on to explain a lot of what we'll be expecting in the story of Evercold, but most of this we knew already, but I want to hone in on one thing here. Let's skip ahead. So they're talking about these airship things that we have here, and the way he phrases it, much of your time will be taking place on them. My expectation is that we are going to be taking these, well, not taking these, we will be traveling down to the land at some point. Which, that really shouldn't come as a surprise. Exactly what that entails, though, we'll have to see. And after a few more minutes, we're finally talking about the new jobs. And they give us our first look at the new tank, of course. And they reveal, of course, that the new tank is going to be called Bastion. No, not that Bastion. It will, of course, be starting at level 90. It'll be a main tank, as they said. The new classes they also mentioned will be evolved only. Its main weapons will be called the Skiltborg, which apparently translates from Swedish to Sign Fortress, interestingly, and the starting location will be in Limsa. So if you're going to be starting with the new tank, go ahead and log out there. I'm going to give my personal opinions about this class and kind of how I see this class being played a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and also show you the class trailer. Firstly, I think that the armor and weapons are awesome. I don't like the helmet. It looks a bit silly, but it is hard to make good helmets. I think that this class is going to work by having a normal GCD combo that goes into a speedy melee finisher, and by completing that finisher, it'll build up some kind of resource to enable a ranged combo from the guns. Kind of like Paladin's magic combo, but with a resource rather than a 1-minute timer like Paladin is now. This definitely won't be what I'm playing through the story with, but it does look very cool, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy leveling it. They also mentioned it will offer protection to itself and allies through defensive and curative boons. I have questions about that, because how are you going to be healing with 2 gun shields, but anyway, we'll see how that ends up working. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual class trailer with all of that in mind. A very cool looking class. I'm assuming that was the V pose there at the end. The other job, of course, will be revealed later in JP, but I have a suspicion that I am correct in my predictions. They then show off some of the realm ships, as they are called. This one is the realm ship of water, Naglfar. Personally, I think this, well, I mean, very obviously, looks like a big dragon head. They do have a video walkthrough, so if you want to see that, I encourage you to look up the live letter for yourself, because it is a very nice area to look at. While I was watching the trailer for myself, I noticed something that I hadn't noticed the first time we were watching it. I think we're going to have a new weather pattern in this place, because if you look at the sky there, it's like it looks like the sky itself is frozen. Now, maybe it'll kind of be like in Shadowbringers, where you know the flood of light was there, and we eventually get rid of that. That's a possibility, but I'm thinking that won't be the case personally. Next, they show us one of the new player hubs, Falgarthur. I'm sure that these Nordic names are not going to be difficult to pronounce for anybody. They do show us some in-game footage of the area. Once again, if you want to see it for yourself, I suggest watching the live letter. They pointed out during this that the city seems to be under some kind of magical protection. Very interesting. I always love seeing the designs of the crystals in new areas. Next up, they show us the Realm Ship of Fire, Ringcorny. They also have a trailer for this one, but unfortunately I will be skipping through most of it for the sake of the video. It is a very cool, very industrial looking realm ship. So the enemies here are going to be very interesting. And next they show off some concept, splash art, you know, whatever you want to call it, of the other realm ships. And while these are very cool, these are also the only thing they show. Apparently they've been receiving complaints that they showed off too much during the Dawn Trail keynotes, so this is all we get this time. Definitely looking forward to when we can get more information about this, even if that is a post-release. And next they show off a new MSQ progression system. And initially I was very confused by this. I didn't quite understand it. It sounded like it wasn't really that much different than before, where we are given the option to go to one of the 2 different starting areas, but eventually just, you know, reconvene and the storyline doesn't really change at all, just kind of a different, slightly different order. But after actually listening to this, it sounds like it actually will be a significant change. To summarize, at least how I understood it, rather than just being given the first two areas and then returning to the main city prior to the first dungeon, each area will have their own dungeon, and the order you do them in will actually change the order you do the dungeons. This won't affect the outcome of the story, but it will significantly impact the pace and experience of each player, depending on which area they go to first. They state, or at least it sounds like, the first few dungeons can actually be completed in a different order for each player, which is a significant change from the linear style we've grown accustomed to. They say the content will auto-balance in a way that they have never done before. We will just have to wait and see exactly how this works, but I am excited about the idea. Next, they show off the new UI and talk about the weekly battle pass system. I wish they had talked about the UI more, but this seems to still mostly just be a concept. It seems like we will be able to meet our weekly goals through a variety of content and not just battle content. As you can see here, it shows fishing, crafting, and even gold saucer events as weekly missions. We will, of course, have to wait and see what the final product looks like and everything that we will be able to do on a weekly basis, but for people who get most of their game time in on all in one day, this will be very nice. Still no information on what the actual reward system for this is going to be, beyond what they said previously in Anaheim. As they mentioned last time, if you do miss a week, you will be able to go back and complete the standard missions for that week if you complete the missions for your current week as well, which will be very nice for people trying to catch up. They also bring up the season system again, but don't worry, this doesn't really change anything for us players, it just formalizes the patch cycle system that we're used to under singular name. Next, they talk about the new Evolved and Reborn systems, and this is where my first real disappointment came from, because they didn't reveal anything, really. They did say additional information will be coming out in the coming months because a lot of players are concerned with how their favorite class is going to turn out, but they didn't specify how or where that information will be coming. It was not introduced in this live letter. Next up, they talk about the new character-focused design philosophy, starting with the Armory System Update. When they mentioned this in Anaheim, I didn't fully understand how this would work, but they've explained here that this will only apply to jobs that are at level cap. I'm curious if that means only item level 110, or if it means any previous level cap as well, as in all your classes at level 100 get to inherit your highest level 100 class's item level. They explain that your classes that are being boosted in this way will only inherit the equivalent base stats, but not the substats, so it will still always be best to gear your classes individually if you want to have the best substats for your job. This just allows you to jump into content with different classes that you otherwise would be locked out of based solely on your item level, in order to test out different roles or help out friends in content on a role that they may need filled. After that, they talk about animation customization. They only showed an example of different teleport animations, but they stated that we will be able to customize specific attack animations, and imply that we may even get to customize emotes. Exactly how that will work, we don't quite know yet, but here's their example of the new teleport animations. Very fancy, of course. I am looking forward to this and hoping that this isn't the extent of what they have planned. Give us Emmett's teleportation animation, Yoshi-P. I expect we will be getting many different avenues to unlock different animations, including forking over our money to the cash shop. I, for one, want to see the warrior who was only using fell cleaves and no other animations for their attacks. They say that early on the options will be limited, but as the expansion goes on, the system will continually expand. The devs are just very busy and have a lot of different things to work on. Next, they talk about improved character creation options, including the previously mentioned color picker, customization for the eyes and lips, face paint layering, and the ability to toggle select parts of individual gear pieces. Most of that wasn't new, but what is new is the ability to adjust nose shading and other facial features on different races, such as, of course, the Lalafell, dirt nose. And people apparently weren't very excited about the Vieira options. For Mikos, they get to remove their war paints. The male Miko is very funny to me. He just becomes a pretty boy. Our raw players will also be able to adjust their facial features. However, for the life of me, I cannot tell what the difference is. I've been staring at this for so long, and all I can see is the different horn shapes, but that was already a thing you could customize, so I have no idea. Our raw players are apparently very excited about this, but for the life of me, I cannot tell what the difference is here. And same thing for female Aura, of course. They don't state whether these changes will require Fantasia. At least some of them I assume will not, such as the Lala Noses and the Miko paint, but that is yet to be seen. These changes won't be rolling out in 8.0, but will be coming slightly later in patch 8.1. And next they talk about what is probably the most important feature that is yet to come.
Today, we'll be rolling out starting in patch 8.1. Freedom, he says. The decision is in my hands, he says. Where's my frickin' butt slider then?
Hey,
The decision.
hey. You remember Anaheim?
I remember Anaheim, the dice game.
The fuck dice game.
Yeah, the fucking dice game.
Just wait.
Wait. Wait.
Just wait.
Wait for.
No, no gesture.
Wait for the butt slide. Like this.
Secret.
It's a secret. Okay. Okay. We won't tell anyone. But you're good?
時間かかる。
It's gonna take time, but we're good. We're good.
All right, next up.
So apparently we will eventually be getting butt sliders. The people have spoken, and we will receive our butt sliders. Next up, they mention that they want to improve the overworld experience and give us some of the experiences that we get in field duties like Zadnor. They don't really go into specifics, but they call this the World Raid system. But don't get too excited, that name is potentially subject to change. The next one is a very nice quality of life change. They say that this is a feature that is becoming increasingly common in other types of games, and that would be an auto-walk function between quest destinations. Here is a concept image of what it may look like. I assume this will take place along a fairly linear path from point A to point B. It apparently won't be teleporting between locations like I originally thought it would. However, there is one concern that I have with this. Bots are almost definitely going to take advantage of this to blend in better. I hope they have some kind of countermeasures in mind to combat them. And here is the next point where I was disappointed. They bring up the evolving battle system, but they don't really give us any new information on what that means. Most of what they tell us here, most of us had kind of already assumed would be the case. We know already that we're going to be getting a middle difficulty for endgame content that will be similar in difficulty to extremes. The rewards for that they call seasonal gear, but it doesn't really sound any different from the current tome system, aside from potentially being a little faster than the tome system, so I'm a little confused on what that entails for players who are already good enough to bypass this new difficulty. Specifically, how will we be getting and upgrading our equivalent of tome gear in the new system, since I assume we won't be expected to only use raid drops. On the bright side, they do say they'll be hosting a live letter to explain this new system in better detail. And on top of that, they don't at all explain how they will be adjusting alliance rate difficulty, and they mention adding new types of battle content, but they don't give us any examples. After that, they talk about the same region player matching. Long story short, we'll be getting a playtest in Japan on October 12th, and once everything has been tested, it will expand to the rest of the player base at a later date. They mention all the usual additions we would expect in an expansion, like level cap increase, new treasure maps, etc., new dungeons, of course, and then they show off some of the concept art of the dungeons. This one reminds me of Barbaricha's arena. I wonder what's going on there. So they show off some of the new class gear. We can assume these ones are for Ninja, Warrior, and Monk. These ones are for Sage, Pictomancer, and Red Mage. And, a little bit surprisingly, they show off some crafter gear as well, these ones being for, assumingly, Leatherworker, Weaver, and Culinarian. I quite like the Weaver one. And then they also show off some concept art for enemies. I'm pretty sure we saw these ones last time, but these ones are new. Now, if you take a look at the left side, control yourselves. It's just a drawing. There's a lot going on here. And now for one of the things that I was the most surprised about. We have a duty support update, but it was not what I was expecting. Now, we knew a rework to the Chocobo's companion system was coming, but this was out of left field. Our Chocobos will be joining us in dungeons, which I assume comes with not just an adjustment, but a complete rework of how they function. And I think probably not the most interesting part about this, but certainly a neat feature, is that we will be able to enter dungeons with another player and both of our chocobos. They also mention here that chocobo breeding, since it was not designed with battle content in mind, will get a complete overhaul as well, but they have not gone into details into what that means. At this point, it's starting to sound like patch 8.1 will be almost as big as patch 8.0. Up next, they speak a little more on the Evangelion crossover. They didn't show anything new, but they had an official announcement that Mahiro Maeda will be involved, sorry if I mispronounced that incorrectly, will be involved in the art and design team for the raid. I don't personally know his name, but I'm sure his reputation precedes him. If you haven't already seen the news for the theme of the 8-man raids, I'm just gonna let this reveal speak for itself.
So, to give you a hint, we want you to listen to this track. Play it.
I don't even know what to say. At first, I was a little concerned because we've always kind of considered FF7 as a break glass in case of emergency situation. But once they explained that the release dates kind of lined up, it made more sense. Plus, when I considered it, Arcadian was kind of a huge undertaking, so maybe this will give them a little bit of a chance to sit back on the creative front. This will have the 3 tiers like we would usually expect, as well as normal, savage, and the new, presently unnamed difficulty tier. This will be a full partnership and direct collaboration between the 2 teams, and include Nomura himself as the art design supervisor. I just have one personal note to add. Nomura is the lead director for Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, we'll never get Disney characters in here, but hey, maybe this opens the door for something. Coming September 8th, we'll get the next patch, patch 7.56, introducing the last story patch that we're going to get, as well as Beastmaster. Looking forward to trying out Beastmaster. And shortly after, we will also be getting another collaboration, an early collaboration with FF7, with a new Gold Saucer area. And with this collaboration came probably the most insane announcement of the night. It's nothing crazy. However, it is completely unhinged. Just look at this. They're adding a type racer as this is the new Manderville game in the Gold Saucer. Literally nobody could have predicted this. Everybody was blown away in just kind of a confused awe. This is a very funny announcement, and hey, if you have a fast typing speed, maybe this will be really fun. And if you don't have a fast typing speed, maybe this is a great way to practice. Keybound Brawler will be coming October 28th. There's not much more to mention here, except that the outfits for Tifa and Barrett will be rewards for Keybound Brawler, and Barrett's gun will be a fashion accessory for us to use. Almost done with the announcements, we have the official date for the Switch 2 release. This begins on August 4th, with a beta period lasting 1 month. For those who don't already know, you will not need a Nintendo Online sub to play, but you will unfortunately need to have a separate, but discounted, at least, FF sub if you are already subbed to other platforms. If you are a new player, my recommendation: enjoy the free trial for as long as you can, and because Evercold is coming out so soon, I would actually wait until January to buy any expansions, because when you do, it includes all previous expansions with it. Unless you just have money to spare or you really want to play at the launch of Evercold, don't buy Dawn Trail. As an important note, do not buy any expansions or subs until you've reached the limit of your free play time, unless there's something that you need it for. There is no time restriction, but eventually you may run out of things to do. Once you do start paying for a sub for the game, though, there is no way to go back to a free trial without making a new account. So, just a warning. And the very last thing they announce is the Evercold Collector's Bundle. I'm not personally a collector of these things, but the plush and keychain are nice, and that is a very cool figure. The mini tapestry is neat, but it's also much smaller than I would have expected. Down in the bottom right, you can see the items you would get in-game or with the digital collector's edition. I might have to get the digital edition for that mount. I am a 13 fan, and that mount is awesome. And that wraps up everything for the keynote. I am very much looking forward to the JP Fanfest, where they will hopefully announce all the things they've been holding back. What are you looking forward to, both in Evercold and in the last Fanfest? Do you think I'm right about Falconer being the next Fizz Ranged? Let me know down in the comments what you think. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and I'll be back with a guide on how to prepare for Evercold in a few days, so I'll see you next time. Goodbye!